What is up, everyone? Tosh here. Today we just had an AMA with all of the development team for DeFi Kingdoms. Let's hop in. I've got the whole audio here for you. Remember, like and subscribe. At 100 subscribers, I'm about to do my raffle and announce that on a live stream later. You don't want to miss it. Let's check out what they had to say today.
Roll into the AMA questions from there. So, yep, make sure to type up in the AMA chats, any questions you have during, and a few of them. So that might be like an announcement later on. Like right now, it's too early. We're doing our first few projects together. So I'm just trying to see how committed they are to, do this kind of a project, how reliable they're going to be. So I guess I'll have more info on that at a later time, but it has been really nice to have some help. And I'm super stoked because all of them on my list are, I mean, the best that I follow. Like I look up to all of them in terms of art. And so I'm super stoked to be getting some of them on board. I think it's going to make our project just that much better. Um, and we'll be able to burn through content quicker. So it's a win-win. I think it's going to be for the project. I think it's going to be pretty big, but it might be like a week or two before they really get rolling with some of the workflow that we have. So that, and then later today, I'm going to try as quickly as I can after this and a few other tasks to get a little um, update out to the community in the announcements channel just on the art department. There's one thing that I'd like to mention in that announcement. Make sure to keep an eye out for. There's kind of like a little sneak preview of some things to come. So I think it's going to be pretty interesting. I think a lot of people will enjoy seeing it. So make sure to keep an eye out for that. And with that, we'll kind of go to the marketing department, and there's a few things that's been happening there too. It's been a very busy week for all the departments. So, Flu, would you like to kind of take it from there?
Sure. So the biggest news out of the marketing department this week, as far as my side of things, is the addition of Check on Digital with the 25,000 YouTube subscribers. We also have our existing bards that have been doing a great job of keeping up with good content. I know that Vaughn just posted like 4 or 5 videos yesterday before hanging up a "Gone Fishing" sign on his desk. I will say that very, very soon we have a couple of upcoming collaborations with larger creators. We have pretty solid talks going with at least 2 creators that have over 50,000 subscribers on YouTube. And we have a talk going with a Twitter influencer that's at about 20K or so. And that stuff could be going live as soon as today, potentially. I think they actually just sent me a message. I saw them pop up. Um, and I think that's about it. If you have any questions about it, y'all can ask during the AMA section.
Hey, also, there's that. I don't think we can give any specifics. However, like we are working on a collaboration with the Harmony team and another project that's looking to come over onto Harmony.
Mm-hmm.
That's really exciting too. I'm actually really stoked about that one.
There's actually 2 different collaborations with Harmony core team, I believe, because there's the other one with just that team and not including a third project. So I think that
true.
Harmony would consider us a quote flagship product. That's all I'm saying.
Awesome. Actually, Pieface, you had another announcement in terms of updates on the publicity side of things. Did you want to get?
So we have, just yesterday, we're listed on DApp Radar. And if you guys check out, we are ranked as #1 on as number one DApp on Harmony One, which is amazing. There's just a few, and just a little bit of background is we had applied to DApp Radar earlier, and it was approved. And however, the Harmony protocol, it wasn't added to their rankings yet. So, but now that it has been added to DApp Radar rankings, DeFi Kingdoms is on there. So, and then just an FYI, in DApp Radar, you can only select one category, and the one that we chose was games. So if you check us out on the games category on DApp Radar, we're in top 5, and along with Axie Infinity as number 1, of course. But let's beat them.
Nice. All right. Well, any other things from any of the departments that anybody wants to mention while we right before we get into the AMA questions?
Yeah, I have some things from the devs, I guess. So I guess first of all, let me start out. Wow, like what a week it's been. It's seems like we had one of these last Sunday, and I think we're gonna try to do them probably every Sunday from here on out, because there's just so much that's happening every week, and there's a lot of newer people here in the community that have like all kinds of questions and things. So last Sunday, I think that was right after we did the AMA with High Indian. And just a few days prior to that, we had the Halvening, which had a little teeny tiny crash and then came back super stronger than that, which kind of blew me away. So it's had a lot of stuff happening. There's a lot of like newer people in the community, really strong, really awesome energy. Everything is really going well there. We also added some new people onto our team. There was Flu, who's here, who's in charge of stuff with like, I guess dev is currently what we're calling it. But anyone who like reaches out to me, which there have been a ton, asking about collaboration or partnerships, or whatever, I'm now just basically saying speak to Flu, and he's been awesome about that. So that's great. We also brought on a new developer. His name is Professor Tango, and he started just yesterday. And he's really good. I'm excited about him and the stuff that we will be doing in the future with him. So he has some other contacts that are also really good, who we might try to have them also join in future. Then dev stuff, let's see. We're going to be trying to launch some new gardens sometime after this call, probably around 2 or 2:30 Eastern Standard Time. And also with those gardens, it was our first actual like real live governance vote. So it was up to you guys to choose which gardens that we did, and those are the ones that y'all chose. So really excited about that. Upcoming Heroes launch, still trying to have that launch probably towards the end of September, maybe like a week before or somewhere around that time is currently what we're targeting, probably a few days before. And a snapshot is on the 15th to award the X Joules holders for that. And so it'll be our first snapshot that we've ever done. We'll have a few of these in the future, and then smaller ones as well that are kind of scattered about in between for stuff like artifact equipment and other awesome things that we have planned that we haven't yet announced. But there will always be a reason to hold X Joules in the bank. You'll always be rewarded for that, because we always want to reward those who are invested in our game. Let's see. So the snapshot, the format of that, we'll do a couple things. What I'll do basically is at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday, that's the 15th, I believe, we will essentially screenshot stuff that's over in the Explorer and export those into an Excel document. At the same time, we will also create a new governance vote over on the Harmony One governance with a specific block time, so that if anybody isn't included in those screenshots and they should have been, you can just hit an option over there on there and say, here's the proof that I had X amount of X joules at that block, basically. So there will be two ways that we will basically prove that you had those X joules in your account at that time. And I'll announce that number of most blocks when it starts to get a little bit closer, because currently stuff is kind of weird with the block times. But that's kind of the stuff I had for updates, and we should probably go to AMA questions here in a second. Unless anyone else wanted to say something.
Yeah, before AMA questions, I just want to point out that this week we did add 2 new knights, Pythfall and Sachet. Sachet specifically is going to be helping out with the Japanese audience whenever we start getting some Japanese audience in here. That's another thing that's in the works, is that there's actually a Japanese influencer that's looking at, and he's already actually been plugging us, so I can go ahead and say his name. He's been doing a great job. He actually has, I think, one of the most popular tweets that we've ever had, and it's in Japanese. So congrats to Lucian, and we appreciate him being such a great ambassador for us. And also congrats to Pythfall and Sachet. And we're probably going to have a couple new nights this week for a couple different languages. So.
All right, that's exciting. Anyone else on the team have any updates they would like to say before we go into AMAs? Speak now or forever receive. I don't know, like hold your peace, I guess. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
So, AMA questions. Let's go from the top. Yesterday's question looks like from Garp. If you were to compare the game you're building now to one that is out, what would that be? Jericho, I don't know if you're on. Would you like to take this one a little bit?
Sure. I mean, it's kind of tough to compare it to any one game. If you've looked in our white paper docs and seen what our end goal is, right? There's going to eventually be some kind of PvP elements. There's also going to be PvE, but those are further down the line. When we're starting out, of course, obviously you've been able to engage in the gardens, and when heroes are launched, they're actually going to be able to run certain quests. And I think at the moment, and I'm going to try and not disclose too much because we're still nailing down all the bits, but we're intending to have some quests that may be like resource gathering quests. There may be some things like where you could perhaps maybe mine for resources. There's also going to be things like fishing, and there'll also be these sorts of quests are going to be what's run. Some are going to be happening instantaneously that you can just go run, and some will take an extended engagement from your hero. So I may have said too much, so I'm going to stop right there. But as you see it roll out, you're going to see that your hero is going to be able to engage in the game in multiple ways. And quests and running quests is going to be the first start to the utility that your hero will have. So I hope that answers some questions.
Yeah, and I'd also like to say in the upcoming phases after you launch Kingdoms of Land, there's like a whole other aspect of gameplay there that will be really interesting, that I have some inspiration from some games. I probably won't mention them, but there's a lot of really exciting things we're going to do with that as well. So it's kind of like sort of a mashup of a few different games, really.
Yeah, most of us are avid gamers, and we're just kind of contributing ideas from our favorite gaming experiences that we thought would be great to see happening together. And so I think you're going to like what's coming for sure.
Yeah, and with that, like, even though we are all kind of contributing to the core game and all of its different features. Hubert couldn't make it today, but we're gonna hopefully have him in one of the future AMAs because he's the
Game designer.
yeah, kind of like game systems engineer. You know, it's like a lot of the core features needs to be filtered through one mind, pretty much, like to make sure everything has continuity and there's a flow. So like, because if you don't, it's just kind of a scattering of a lot of different ideas from a lot of different people. So you need one like overarching, voice, a narrative to the whole experience. So like, I'm so excited to have him because it's helped clarify exactly what this game is going to be. So we'll try to get him on, hopefully next AMA. That would be good. And if you don't mind, I'll just try to go through some of the questions and pose it to the team. Do you guys mind if I do that? I'll
That's
start.
perfect.
Yeah, I'll start with answering one, and then I'll start asking the rest of everyone else questions. So I picked Hio Mapu. He's got a couple questions, like 3 or 4 of them. But his second question is, how big is your team, and what is the hardest part to make developers come and build on DeFi Kingdoms project? And the reason why I chose that one is because, like I was mentioning, Hubert, we also, the team itself has been growing because the project is growing. The community's growing, the token's growing. It's like it's just becoming bigger and bigger, and so we need to keep up with it. And so I think we're up to 15 team members now with my artist that I brought on yesterday. So it's getting to a point where it is, it's pretty involved. It's a big developing project at this point. And so I think the hardest part actually is getting people that understand blockchain technology because for instance, the artists that I contacted, no one really gets crypto, let alone DeFi. It's like there's just a natural confusion about this space for most professions. But this is where the excitement and the opportunity is at. So those who actually take the leap and say, okay, let's get into it, they're rewarded. It's really exciting here. And so as we've been searching for talent, usually it's those people who are a little bit more prone to take chances and go seek opportunity. And so it's been good. The team is a mix of people that do know crypto and people that are getting to know crypto. So that's that question. There was a really good question down here, and sorry if I kind of jump around the questions, but let's see here. Okay. Durant Avocado asked, with Joule price rising so fast, what are some plans to attract new players who join later this year? What will exactly determine the price of later gen heroes? Thank you. Does anybody want to take that one? Because it is a kind of a
Sure.
complicated answer
It
because
is.
there's a lot of factors into making sure it's fair, but still
Yeah.
retaining value.
Yeah, so a lot of this we've thought really long and hard about. Our tokenomics are centered around Joule. You spend Joule, you also earn Joule. So to a certain extent, we're kind of a self-contained economy. Here in the US, you don't really worry about the strength of how much a US dollar is compared to other currencies every day because you're earning US dollar, you're spending US dollar. So if it goes up or down, it doesn't really impact a ton. However, it is kind of a barrier for newer players that are coming on. It's kind of similar to the issues that Axis has seen and things like that. But a lot of times, a lot of the players aren't really concerned about that because they are, as I said, earning in that currency as well. So yes, it could have a higher cost to entry. However, they'll earn more from it, and it all kind of is sort of a wash in the end. And it's still earning money, and it's still an investment, and it's still fun. With that said, the specifics that will impact the price of heroes. So we have some calculations for that, but each hero that you summon uh, will cost a little bit higher than the ones that were summoned previously. And also, if you're a higher generation, it'll cost higher and things like that. So there are some things that will impact that. It should be a pretty good range of heroes that are up for sale over in the tavern. You should be able to find some for, like probably $30 to $50, and then other ones will be obviously a lot more because they'll have higher stats or anything like that as well. And as the price increases, you'll see that increase a little bit too. But we are trying to figure out other ways and stuff that we can do to kind of like reduce the entry barrier and see if we can get a lot more other players to come in and start playing, even if they don't have a hero and have things for them to do. So we're trying to think about those as well.
Also, remember that Gen Zero is not the end, and that's something that I think gets brushed over a lot because people focus on, I'm not going to be able to afford a Gen Zero, and I mean, there's times, guys, that like a few months ago I wouldn't have been able to afford a Gen Zero. That's absolutely fair, but also Gen Zero is not the end. You know, Gen ones are going to be amazing. Gen 12s are going to be even cooler because that's the only way to get, you know, advanced and beyond classes. So it's not the end if you do not get a Gen Zero, and I know that I personally have dedicated myself to this, and I know a very large group on the side that is also dedicated to making sure that Gen 1s and others are going to be available at an affordable price. Also, War for Peace, can we add a 1% fee to either burn? Honestly, there's already a 1% fee, or sorry, a 1% burn built into the mint. So that's actually already been undone.
That's right. And
Yeah.
also all of the ones in the future will have that as well. So all of the in-game transactions and things, you'll always see like small amounts of burns from those. And then of course having a larger chunk that will go to the bank holders and things like that as well.
Oh,
You
and
know,
we just went live with a new friend of ours. He's not technically an ambassador yet, but probably after this tweet he will be. Gus, I just posted his tweet in the voiceless chat so that everyone could go to it, and also in the Support Our Heroes chat, so that everyone could go to it there. And he was actually nice enough to do that tweet. He has 17,000 followers on Twitter, and he is not even officially an ambassador yet. So that was awesome of Gus, and I want everyone to go and support him, please.
so
All right, thanks. Let's get to the next question.
yeah, we've got one more on the lines of heroes, because this might need to be covered a little bit more in more detail. So, Natsuri asked, "What are the pros of getting a Gen Zero hero? Um, any compiled advantages lists that I can read? Question mark. When summoning, the summoned heroes will be sold at the barkeep? Question. Is there an additional Joule fee to summon? Do summoners get a percentage of the summoned heroes once sold?" So kind of a list of like Gen Zero, what are the benefits of having it, and kind of what's the mechanism that we're going to use to auction the heroes once, they are summoned.
Yeah, I can talk about that. So Gen Zeros will have the most efficient rates for creating future heroes. So they'll cost like the least, and they will have the smallest cooldown times as well. So they should be able to create a lot of newer heroes, which will be fun. And then they also will have stats that are a little bit boosted. So they'll start out with higher stats than some of the other gens will. And then also they'll have a higher rate of rarity. So they will, all of them are at least rare, and you'll have a higher chance of having them be legendary or even mythic, which also impacts their stats as well. And then they'll have a higher rate of being shiny as well. So there'll be a lot of things there. They're collector's items, and they're also sort of like investment vehicles. Next question. I think I saw one about audits. That one should be important
Yes.
to talk about.
Yeah, that is a good one. I don't see it though. Do you have it?
Where did it go? Okay, Joe Q. You'd be answering questions about audits or things of that nature. Some people are more hesitant to buy in until some of the more serious stuff is cleared up. Yeah, so that's very important. I've been working hard on that. I would like to get two separate companies to audit us so that like we can just have even more coverage. And I've been in speaking with them over in Telegram, and just kind of trying to coordinate that. So we should be able to get that started, I think, as early as tomorrow with at least one of them. And the plan for audits is to kind of have more and more audits as these other phases come about too. So for the first one, obviously, like we'd like to get the contracts that are over in the decks audited. Even though it's already live, I mean, obviously, we just want to know that everything is on the up and up there. So that's important. And then for the phase 2 stuff that we are currently building, we'll also have audits for that. And then for phase 3, we'll get audits for that, phase 4, etc. So audits are very important. Helps to keep us all safe, helps to keep everybody's funds safe, and helps to make sure that the future of the game is always bright and secure. So yes, those are really important things we're doing. I'm also ensuring that we have 100% code coverage for like stuff like our tests. I've been writing a ton of tests this week, like a ton, and also having it get like ran through a lot of automated code analysis apps and things like that that like scan all of your code for any issues that are there as well. So very important stuff there. Next
Cool.
one.
Well, I have two. Let's do kind of rapid fire on these answers. Anyone jump in on this? But JMS asked, are there any future plans for having DeFi kingdoms across several chains? For example, Matic. Yeah. So I know we were talking about that earlier, Fox, about potentially.
Yeah. I for sure have plans for that. Currently, Harmony One is one that makes the most sense because the fees and the like all those things that we mentioned over in the past as well. But in the future, for sure, I would like it to support running on Matic, probably on Phantom, some of the other ones as well. And it will be supported by us creating a bunch of bridges, basically, so that your heroes can easily travel from like one land to another land over on the other blockchain, and then have your like resources and all of your jewels and all that type of stuff also just be sent over across the bridge. So instead of creating like other economies, it'll still be all in one economy basically there. So yeah, that's the plan for that.
I got one more, and perhaps Jericho, I'm gonna take a stab at this too, but maybe you could add anything on to this. But Mr. Fabio asked, what are the two most significant challenges you see around the success of the project currently? And that's one thing I've been thinking about this week in particular is like, all right, where are the areas where we need to like make sure we're keeping an eye on, to make sure we're going to achieve success. So, you spend a lot of time thinking about disaster situations. And so one thing I think we're doing, first you need to recognize what could be a problem, and then you have to preemptively address it. So one thing we're doing currently is the project's growing so fast that the original team right now it's like doubled from the original team. So we're trying to keep up, with the growth. If you don't keep on that, it can get ahead of you. So, it's difficult to add people in and start working, showing them your workflow. It's a lot of extra work, and we have been putting in a lot of extra hours to make sure we're keeping up on it and getting the new people like rolling as fast as possible. But yeah, that's one thing that we are definitely preemptively doing. We have to build because DeFi Kingdoms is like it's becoming, pretty dang big on the Harmony space. So we're doing our best to keep up with that growth internally to make sure we're producing the content that we know we need to produce at this point. So
Right.
I think that's my answer for at least one of the things that I think we have been tackling pretty good.
Yeah. I think there's a lot, right? Like there's a lot that's important at this stage. I think in my view, some of the things that are important for us to keep getting right and doing right are the game mechanics as well, making sure that they're going to give us the kind of experience that's engaging and interesting and fun, but also is balanced, with our own tokenomics and also just the crypto space in general. But secondly, as well, I think it's important that we keep carrying on with our marketing, right? We want to continue to keep expanding the word. We've been growing hand over fist, right? And we just want to keep unlocking our momentum and keep moving forward and kind of keeping the growth of the organization on pace with the growth of the project so that we can keep moving forward and not get bottlenecked somewhere. So that doesn't necessarily always mean hiring on new people, but we're definitely not shy about it when it's time, when there's a need. And so I think those are challenges that are unique to where the project's at and just where we're going to be. Keep us on track. So hope that's somewhat helpful.
Yep, it's pretty exciting. I mean, it's just every day we're working on this, we're just like, wow, this is pretty amazing to just be a part of, this thing in this space. It's just amazing. So yeah, and that's
it is.
Go ahead.
It is like really exciting, really satisfying to see that your ideas and like your dream and your vision for this space is also echoed in so many people out there. There's so many people that have been waiting for this type of thing, and we're super excited to build it. A quick thing for time. It's already been half an hour. There's still a lot of questions. I feel bad. I could spend a little bit longer and talk about more if you guys want to, but that's up to you guys.
Yep, I'm fine. If you want to pick, hand pick some, I'm sorry I didn't go like in order. I just read through and the ones that I think I could, like, there's some that are paragraphs long, so I didn't know that we had that much time to read through the whole thing.
Yeah, let's try and take like maybe 3 or 4 more, and then we'll call it. I don't think we'll have enough time to get to all of them. Sorry. I will try to answer them in the chat afterwards. That might help as well.
Good plan.
Let's see. Any of them sound interesting. About the snapshot, that's an important one. Eddie asked about that. Snapshot is coming up. I did answer that a little bit earlier about how it will work with the snapshot, and everyone will be at least rare or higher in that snapshot, and also all of them will be shiny. So that answers that one. Let's see. The increase in the price of Joule, a lot of people are concerned about that with the cost of the pre-sale. I'm also concerned about that because, I mean, initially we were thinking, yeah, it might be, like whatever it's at that time, but it's kind of like higher now than what we had even hoped, which is amazing. It means so many people out there are seeing the utility and the value in these. With that said, it's all okay because it's all still in Joules. You earn Joules, you spend Joules. It doesn't really matter necessarily what the price is. But with that said, there is a thing that is impacted overly from the price, and that is the increase in the Joules for each hero that is minted. It's currently set to, I think, 1.25 each time. But that, at the price of it currently with Joules, it feels like it might be a little bit high. So I think what I want to do is open up a new community vote and see if other people agree to having that starting out like smaller and have it only increase by maybe like half a Joule for each of them. And at the same time, we'd probably have to increase the start price of probably the first heroes to kind of offset that, because the point of this sale is to create a quest fund which will hold all of the awards and all of the stuff that heroes can earn from their quests and things. So we have to hit at least a certain amount there for it to be successful for the future. So it would be more of redistributing the allocation there so that it's not whoever's first is able to get it for 750 and then whoever's last has to pay like 3,000 plus, trying to have that a little bit less of a disparity there, I think is important. So I'll see if I could create something over on the voting thing for that and see what people think about that.
There is a question. Speak asked, can we get some clarification on how combat gameplay will look? And I would say if you're okay with this, that would be a really good question for Hubert. Like he's been working the most on this particular particular question, and that would probably be better to have him answer it maybe next week if you would be okay with that speak.
Yeah, that's true. He always gets upset at me every time I say things that he hasn't actually planned into his engine yet. So, oh, sorry, that's my dog. But yeah, let's answer that next week.
Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, there's some questions on like, again, we've gone over this many times, but the launch of the heroes, so it's, I guess, would we be having a set in stone date for that for the community within, the next while, in the next week or so, would you say? No, we're
Yeah,
getting close to it.
I think we're starting to hone in on that more. It's still too early right now, but I think so. On the 15th, we'll have the snapshot, and then probably that weekend we will do the live stream of the spinning to see who actually wins it. And so I will be streaming that and spinning the wheel, and we'll see who wins. And at that point, we might be able to actually say, here's the actual launch date. So I guess maybe what we'll do is we'll actually announce that next Sunday at our AMA there, and just kind of see if we're out of space for that as well.
There you go. Yeah, we're gonna try to be a little bit more on like letting you guys know the schedule. Well, I guess we just told you the schedule for the AMA is gonna be every Sunday, but we'll put reminders in Discord for you guys just to make sure it's on everybody's mind, because it is a thing that we all take a bit of time out of our day to do this, so we want to make sure it's going to reach the biggest audience. So we'll try to be a little bit more, on a schedule with that. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all. Like you said, we could go through the chat and text, type some answers to some of these, because some are good, but they're really long. So maybe we should.
Yeah,
Okay.
this was good. This was awesome. Thanks
Well,
everyone for coming.
Yeah. Appreciate y'all coming, and we will be back here same time next week, and yep, we'll see you out there.
Yes,
All right,
thank
let's
you.
have another good week. Woo!
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Thank you, everyone. Y'all are awesome.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming. Bye.